Hello and welcome to episode 21 of my survival Minecraft Let's Play. I am iWhat, I wonder about things, and in this episode we are once again going to expand our base. In this episode, oh dear, beacon beam on my face. In this episode I am going to expand in the, oh no, my bad, never mind, in this direction right here. All of that went exactly as planned and none of that was, an accident. All of that was amazing. This intro is good. Right, now, the thing is, I want to build an iron farm here, and the reason for that is, of course, because we are always running out of iron. Right here in this chest, we can see, right now we have half a stack of iron right here, and some ore, and in here there is none. So every time I am building something with hoppers or whatever, I every time have to do a little mining session because I need the iron and I'm sick of that. So in this episode we are going to change that by constructing an iron farm. Ladies and gentlemen, I think that iron farm is going to take up a lot of time actually. And because of that, can we please play the intro? Alright, ladies and gentlemen, right now I am going to tell you something that might actually surprise some people in the audience, and that is that I have never built an iron farm before in survival mode. And the reason for that is that iron farms are a really powerful farm to build, and usually I'm not as committed to my worlds as I am to this one. And, an iron farm, I feel like if you build an iron farm, you are planning to do some stuff with it. And in this world, I am planning to do some stuff with it. Anyway, I have figured out some stuff by testing how iron farms work in a creative world. So essentially, the technical part of this farm is already like pre-designed in a creative world. And from what I understand, the most difficult part about constructing an iron farm is making sure that the iron golems do not spawn in places you do not want them to spawn. Because they will find every single spot that you haven't made sure that they cannot spawn. Sometimes this is even weird because they can spawn like partially into a wall so that they spawn and then immediately start suffocating and stuff. But that is perhaps stuff for later. Besides the technical part of this farm, there is of course the aesthetic part, and since it's like a part of the base very close to the central storage system, of course, I feel like we should think carefully about how we want our iron farm to look, or the area around our iron farm. And for that, we of course have to build something fancy, and we have to choose the blocks that we want to build that with. And I think there is a lot of stuff to be said when choosing blocks to build with. And I feel like I should give you some advice, especially for people who are less experienced builders. I think I have some useful things to talk about. The first advice that I have is anytime you are building, pick one wood type and use that throughout your builds. That will just make your life so much easier, because then you have trapdoors and stairs and everything that wood has to offer that you can work with, and I think that is just the easy way out. It is absolutely not required. In fact, nothing that I'm going to tell you is required here, but all of the things that I am going to tell you now are probably going to make building easier. And it is often what I use, because you will have to check my builds and I will most of the time follow these guidelines here. Secondly, besides the wood, I would advise to have at least one colored terracotta, because colored terracotta blocks go well with almost all of the other blocks in the game, in my opinion. And that's just easy to work with. Usually I will use these blocks as a sort of backdrop. But again, not required. Third, I think just add some green stuff. This can be grass, this can be leaves, anything nature in this game, and you immediately have so much options with it, and it's just very easy to just throw around some bushes everywhere. And then besides that, you can go wild, but not too wild. For example, right here, I have selected just 6 blocks to work with here. That doesn't mean that I am going to restrict myself to using only these 6 blocks, but if you choose to build with way more blocks, for example, if you choose on forehand, before you start building, like 20 something blocks, then once you are building, it's going to be really complicated actually. So I would say keep the blocks that you are working with simple. In my opinion, I am going to say somewhere between 5 and 10 is ideal, but 6 and 8 is usually what I go with. In this case, 6. And in this case, I want to build with water actually. I want my build to feature actually a lot of water. And for that, I am going to go to my base to explain why I want to use water. The reason for that is because our storage system is really big, actually. So let's go there. So when we are at the center of our storage system, right now it's not as apparent, I think. But that is because we have walls at the end of our storage system. Maybe we can fix that by simply adding a door or something, but those sides are for later. I have something in mind for those sides. But you can't just extend by digging here, essentially making more hallway. You can't really do that, because then you create a very long straight line that you can just look across. And that can work, but usually it's not that good. In fact, at the end of our storage system here, I think we should have something that blocks the view. In this case, it's the ceiling, strangely enough, but it is a ceiling. And right here, I think we should have something like our build here and then a wall. And in this case, I actually kind of want to build a waterfall. And of course, the water that the waterfall will accumulate into at the bottom, I think is going to be a prominent feature of our build today. But yeah, the first part of building something here, because we are underground, of course, is to, of course, dig a lot. And that is perhaps what we will start with. The idea is to build the technical part of our iron farm in this area right here. Because, as I said earlier, the iron golems will find every single available spot where they can spawn. And that sort of means that we aren't really allowed to build too much stuff close to where the iron farm is, because then we risk the iron golem spawning in the new stuff that we build, or we have to make sure it's spawn proof in some way. So I'm going to build it right here, because then already half of the directions basically that we can expand in is already covered by the storage system, by the chests and stuff. So let's start digging actually, because I have been rambling on for way too long now. Can you believe it's already been 8 minutes and we haven't really done anything yet? Well, we aren't going to start building immediately either, because first there is some preparations that have to be done. And an important part of those preparations is, of course, clearing out an area where we are going to build, as we are doing right now. I have marked out an area right here, a sort of box shape, that I think will be quite nice actually to build with. However, I also think that we should go down a little bit as well. I'm not entirely sure yet how I'm going to do it, but we'll start with this box and I'll see from there. Alright, I have dug out quite a substantial hole here, and I think this looks very good. However, I think that inevitably, once we will start building, we will continue digging in all directions, especially downwards. I think we will expand a lot, but that's for later on. I am sick of digging a little bit now. So my plan is to have the storage system end here and enter some sort of hallway-ish build with a waterfall over here, like that, roughly. And then to the right here, I want to build my iron farm. Sort of similar to how I positioned the sugarcane farm on the other side. Now, we can't start building yet because to do so, we need the blocks that we want to build with, and I want to build with yellow terracotta. And we do not have yellow terracotta at the moment. Now, there are multiple options as to how to acquire that, and not all of them are as fun, let's say. Option 1 is to simply gather clay and smelt it and dye it manually, but that will take a very long time because I want to use a lot of yellow terracotta. Option 2 is villager trading, but I just really do not feel like doing villager trading. And option 3 is to go to a badlands biome and simply mine a bunch of terracotta from there. Now, we haven't been to a badlands biome yet, so that means that we are going to take a trip to the Nether and go to a new place. Luckily, the nether tunnel towards this place was already built from when we were looking for sniffer eggs. I just had to build a portal here, so let's go through and let's see what we get. Sadly, we have ended up underground here, and that is actually really inconvenient, so let me quickly just move our portal to the surface here. Alright, I have moved our nether portal to the surface here, and I immediately added a big huge thing so I can find it. And right now we just have to go down here and just mine a bunch of terracotta. Now that also means that essentially I am going to designate this area right here as like, this is allowed to be ugly. This is the place where we get our terracotta. And that essentially means that we are not going to build anything beautiful here. We are just going to completely mess this place up and get all the terracotta that we need. So let's actually go down to the yellow level, because there is a level where it's yellow, it seems. And let's dig over there. Alright, we are back at our base and we have collected a whole bunch of terracotta. I also collect some regular terracotta so that we can dye it over here at the base. And in our ender chest there is more. Right, let's deposit most of that and let's keep a little bit so we can build with it. Although, actually no, let's put that away. I think I am first going to build the technical stuff. Alright, so I have designed some stuff here, and I think I roughly have an idea of what I want to build here. So, the idea is that we are going to use this as the iron farm. So, in this spot right there, we put a zombie, and over there we put 3 villagers. Because the conditions to spawn an iron golem is to have 3 villagers that have slept in the past, I don't know how much time. And they have to get scared by a zombie. And from testing in a creative world, I seem to get better results if every now and then we block the view from the zombie to the villagers. So that's why we have trapdoors and redstone torches, so we can control whether or not these trapdoors are open or closed. Now, using this, this will spawn iron golems everywhere. And what I am going to do is I'm simply going to have a large platform here with water over top, basically on the ceiling of the containment thing of the villagers and the zombie. And then I am going to funnel the iron golems over here towards this side. And then down here we will have some killing mechanism to collect the iron, and we'll figure that out later. But the way we are going to interact with this farm is through this window, because then on this side we build a window so we can watch the water stream with the iron golems in it, and we can just see how they get funneled over here, and I think that will look very nice. So let's actually build that, and I feel like I want the floor of this to be some dirt-ish block, and then over top we'll put water. Now, I am not going to put the water in place yet, because of course we still have the annoying task of getting a zombie and some villagers here. So we are going to do that last though, because otherwise we'll get iron golems everywhere and it will just be a little bit annoying to work with. Okay, so I have added in the dirt that I was talking about. So on top of this goes the water. I haven't put that in yet because, of course, we're still working on it and that would be really annoying. Over here, I maybe did some weird stuff. Essentially, I would be bothered if it wouldn't look nice, and I didn't find like a good pattern where there are no like dead spots in the water. Without having to have like this weird V-shaped hole here, and then I had to still move the iron golems into a smaller hole here, and it's just a mess, and I decided on doing this weird thing right here. We still have to put some signs or fence gates here so the water can't flow into the hole, but the idea is that the water pushes the iron golems into this hole, and then here we kill them. Now, down here we also made some progress. Because over here, remember these trapdoors, we have added a thing so we can control those. So if we power this, that closes these trapdoors, and if we unpower this, that will open them. And the idea is that we will hook this up to a timer of some sort so that we periodically let the zombies see the villagers and then block the view. Let's install that next. I was trying to trade for a name tag so I could name tag a zombie to put in the system. But while trading here, I discovered that most likely one of our villagers has died actually, because I can only find one shepherd here and there used to be two, and I have no idea where the other one went. So maybe we should find a more permanent solution for these villagers. I have placed the villagers and the zombie in place here. And I have hooked this up to a timer so that we can periodically create iron golems. And I am going to demonstrate this by summoning exactly one iron golem, and we do that by unpowering this redstone right here. Now what happens when I do that is that the redstone dust in these hoppers is all going to go into this hopper. But when it's all in there, the pressure plates over here should flip open, as you can see. And now we should have summoned an iron golem, I'm not exactly sure. But now the redstone dust in here is funneling to the other hopper, and let's stop this. We'll explain what this does in a moment, but let's first go up here, and yeah, as you can see, we summoned an iron golem. So the idea is that we then put in water and we funnel him to the killing thing over here. Right, so this thing over here is an extremely important construction in redstone. It's called a hopper clock, or sometimes also an etho hopper clock. So what this does is it's essentially a timer. So as you saw a moment ago, you have a certain amount of items in there, and essentially this thing flips state every time the items have flown completely from one hopper to the other one. And I think that for most practical uses, that is actually all you need to know. So the way this works is by using comparators to detect how many items are inside of the hopper, and then powering the piston through that. And this works because if a piston is extended and we then also power the other piston, this block won't move. And that will be the case until this piston is unpowered, meaning that that hopper is empty, and then the thing switches. Now, the items are not able to flow back into the other hopper because we use a redstone block here that powers the hopper, and a powered hopper does not do anything. So, yeah. If that was confusing, just remember that this is a timer, and it works by having all the items flow from one hopper to the other one, and then it switches. Of course, this means that you can make this timer longer and shorter as you want, because you can just add more items and then it will take longer to switch from one position to the other one. And yeah, and we have this line right here with a redstone torch, because this allows us to turn this on or off. So if this is powered, we basically have turned this off, because in this state, with the redstone block right here and with this redstone wire right here, both hoppers are powered and none of the items are flowing. And that means that the clock has stopped. And if we unpower that, you know, it will switch back. Now, I have made sure that this happens in the state where the trapdoors are closed, because I have tested a little bit in creative mode, and if you do this on the other side so that the trapdoors are open, this can sometimes give problems where the villagers don't sleep correctly and stuff, and it was just a bit complicated. I don't exactly know why, but it was more inconsistent. Right. Next up, I am going to hook this up to a button somewhere on the top, and I am going to build more of this room right here, fill in some walls and place in the water. And then after that, I think we should start designing the room over here, from which we are actually going to control the iron farm. Ladies and gentlemen, I have constructed an interface for this iron golem farm, or whatever you call it. I call it an interface because this is like the control room, so to speak, for the iron farm. And for the design, I went with something very similar to what we already have for some of our other farms, basically just a wall of chests. And I know that's quite boring, but I like that design, so I'm keeping it. So the idea is that we have a wall of chests here for the iron, a wall of chests here for the poppies, and one for bone meal. And I'm not entirely sure about the bone meal one, but I think I want to keep it for completeness sake. So the idea is when the poppies overflow, we can then use a composter to create bone meal. And lastly, there is this button to switch the farm on or off. And of course, there is the window through which you can watch the iron columns get funneled down over here to the killing mechanism. And this farm, I have turned it on. This farm is really good. Like, in the time that we've been building on here, we've already generated this amount of iron. And that's amazing, because that basically means that from now on, we can just use as much hoppers as we want. However, we still have to hook up some redstone to these chests and this button right here. And to do that, we kind of have a problem. And that problem is that we still have to connect our storage system to this place over here. And that means that we have to figure out how this bend is going to look. And I am not entirely sure what I want to build here yet, and I wasn't really planning on doing that in this episode either. So that is a bit annoying, because that means that we don't know how much space we have. I think with these 4 blocks, I can fit a lot of things, and that will be definitely enough. Perhaps a bit too much space to work with, but that's better than having not enough space to work with. And I want to see if I can fit the redstone that we need here in these 2 blocks, like right here, this area. If I can do that, then I am going to do the redstone in this episode. Otherwise, you'll have to wait until a later moment. And that will be fine because we can already control our iron farm, and the need for an iron farm is already satisfied because we are already producing iron. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, I managed to fit in the redstone that this build needs into the specified area. And that is amazing, because that means that for now the iron golem farm has been completed actually. We just need to decorate the build around it. And I've added quite a bit of redstone actually, so let's cover all the little details here. So the first thing that I'm going to cover is the on-off switch. So we have this button here, and when the light is on, the farm is running. As you can see, there is an iron golem that spawned practically immediately after I switched that on. And we do this by using a T flip-flop. We've seen a couple of these in previous builds, but essentially we have this redstone block here, and that switches between two positions every time we press this button. And we do that by sending a very short pulse into this piston. And using the position of that redstone block, we can control both whether the light is on by making the redstone go up, and we can control this redstone wire right here that we talked about earlier in the video to stop these two hoppers from funneling items into each other. And I'm still trying to figure out what the ideal number of items in here is. Right now we have 19, I think. But that doesn't matter as much, I think. Down here we have the killing chamber for the iron golems in here. And the items will get picked up by the hoppers underneath, and then they will funnel into a dropper over here. And this dropper has a mechanism using a comparator and a bunch of redstone torches and stuff, that whenever there is items in there, it will spew them out. And I think we'll get a great demonstration here, because I hear there is an iron golem in there. Yeah, we've built some of these in earlier builds as well. It spews them into a bubble column that brings the items up to the top of the farm. And right now there is no good way of getting out of here, so we have to just break some blocks here. And on the top of the farm we've also added some stuff. So over at the top of the farm we have added an item sorter to filter out the poppies from the iron. And it's a bit annoying to show you all of this actually. So how do I show this? So there is a water stream over here. The bubble column comes up underneath these blocks, and then it will transfer the items over there. But over here there is a hopper, which is an item filter, and it has some poppies in it. So we filter out the poppies over here. These poppies will go down these hoppers right here, but first they will go down and into these chests. And if these chests are full, then we split and go over here into a composter, making bone meal. And everything that is not poppies will funnel in the water stream further that way into the other chests. I don't think anything special happens over there. And that means that we filter out the poppies in here, the iron in here, and in here there is bone meal. But we won't be producing any bone meal until all of this is full of poppies. So that will practically, realistically, never happen. But I felt like adding it for completeness sake, and yeah. With that, ladies and gentlemen, I also think that, sadly, we have come to the end of the episode, because I've looked at how long it is, and it turns out that this episode is already long enough. So, yeah, we have to also tell you the fact of the video. And the fact of this video is that orange, the color, is named after the fruit and not the other way around. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to thank you for watching. I hope I can see you in the next episode. And as always, keep wondering.